Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, because there's a lot of them out there, right? Huge variety of invisible conditions out there. No matter what the condition is that you live with, we want you to know that you have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. And, here on Invisible Condition, we get it. We know that life can be rough sometimes. Okay. We also know that there is always hope. And so that's where we like to live, in a land of hope. And so if it's been a minute for you and you've found yourself losing that hope, join us. There's room for you too. Come on board. Hope is a beautiful thing. So wanted to touch base on a couple things real quick before we bring Bryce Briggs on. Bryce is back again. We're going to be tackling another topic with chronic illness solution today, and Bryce is joining us, and so it's going to be awesome. And I tell you, I say it at the end of every show, particularly with chronic illness solution, whether it's Michal or Chris or Madeline or Bryce or Stephen, whoever it is, I always learn something. It always kind of blows my mind a little bit because there's always something new. But we'll get there in just a second. So Hydro with Hope. I want to just quickly touch on Hydro with Hope, which is the nonprofit arm of Invisible Condition. And we strive to help families that are dealing with a condition called hydrocephalus, which is the condition that I was born with, diagnosed with at 2 weeks old, that has resulted in 7 brain surgeries over the last 48 years on this planet. And as you can imagine, that can really throw a family for a loop, and financially, personally, spiritually, if you're not careful. And so we are expanding our board and we are expanding our reach, and we need your help to do that. So if you know of somebody that would be an amazing board member or that would like to help us in what we're doing, I would highly recommend you shoot me an email at InvisibleCondition@E360TV or Jeff@hydrowithhope.com, either one. And let's talk. If you know somebody that'd be a great board member, or you just want to help, you just want to donate, hydrowithhope.com is a great place to do that. Thank you in advance. At the same time, we are always looking for amazing advertisers and sponsors for Invisible Condition. And so if you or somebody that has been watching the show, or maybe they haven't, maybe this is their first episode, welcome. I'd love to talk to you. If this is a platform that you've been really wanting to, break into, and like, hey, TV might be a really good option for us to get the word out about our business, let's have a conversation. Invisible Condition at E360TV.com, and let's talk about it. All right. Let's bring Bryce on. Bryce, good morning. Hello. Thank you so much for being here again, man. It's always a pleasure.
Good to be here, Jeff. Glad
Awesome.
to be here.
And we are going to be talking about, and I'm just gonna let Bryce kind of take it away here, because I, despite working with Michal and Bryce and Madeline and Stephen and Chris, all the folks there for I don't know, a while now, I still feel like the new kid on the block, and I still feel like I'm, always learning, right? That's the point, always learning. So please, Bryce, introduce yourself to the audience and tell them why you were, a little bit of a recap of why you work with Chronic Illness Solution and what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely.
All right.
So I'm Bryce Briggs. I am a coach and practitioner with Chronic Illness Solution, and I've been doing so for the last about 5 years. I myself was a client of theirs to start with. I had my own chronic illness that I was going through, and through the process of overcoming that and becoming fully healthy, I decided this was a path for me in life, and I decided to become a coach and a practitioner, and it's been evolving the last few years. I'm still loving the work that we do and watching people heal. It's become, it's a ministry to me, and I'm a minister myself, and so it's been beautiful to see that grow. And now we made some changes And we like to share those changes too. We are now donation based. So we're opening up to, just many more people that want to actually come and join our community, want to heal. We have lots of program options. So we'll be talking about that in coming future, I'm sure. But I'm here to talk about, well, the source of turmoil in life and kind of why we get ourselves in dis-ease.
Dis-ease. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's not the way most people think about it or say it when they're talking about it in a sentence or a conversation, but that is yeah, dis-ease or dysregulation. Is that a word? I don't even know.
Yep.
Is that a
Yep.
word?
Dysregulated. Yep. That is a word. Dysregulated.
Nice.
Yep.
All
So,
right. Well, let's dive in, man. Yeah, let's do it.
all right. So, leading up to having dis-ease, we have dysregulation of the nervous system. We are operating in that sympathetic nervous system. We're either in fight or flight, or that's a pretty common one that people know, fight or flight. And there's also fawn. You want to be really appeasing. You want to avoid that conflict. So you're doing everything you can to appease those other people. And at the same time, you're causing that conflict within yourself. You're going against yourself in life. And then there's freeze, which is you're put in a corner and there's no way to fight. There's no way to flight, and there's really no way to fawn. So you're petrified. You're frozen. There's nothing else you could do. You could, freeze up or go limp or whatever.
Yeah.
So get put in a corner, and then in that you shut down and you don't know what to respond. And so this is things that we deal with and with people is seeing how they've stayed in one of those states for a long time. And when you're staying in that state of either fight or flight or fawn or freeze, eventually you're going to start to feel the effects of that because all that trauma is going to get stored in your body and it's going to create dis-ease.
So can I ask you a question about that? Because just real quick, I don't know why this popped into my head, but with fawn, with the people pleasing and there's so many people, there's so many personality assessments out there. There's Myers Briggs and DISC and Florence Littauer and all these different, but they all boil down to the same 4 personality types. And one of those is very prone to that. And I've heard a lot of people talk about it like, oh, that's just me. Oh, that's just my personality. Oh, but what you're just said kind of debunks that a little bit. It's not just your personality. You don't have to live in that. That is something that can change and should change. Otherwise you could have dis-ease.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it is kind of interesting, when we look at a condition, let's actually look at identifying as invisible condition. You don't see what's going on inside that person.
Yeah.
And like on the surface, everything may look good and bubbly and cheery, and that's their personality. And sometimes like, oh, I want to be like that, and it's like you have no idea what's going on inside that person. All that conflict from not being who they truly are and doing what they truly need to do. There's a lot of conflict that comes with going against yourself in that way, and which I've been there. I had to overcome a lot of people pleasing tendencies and learn to say no a lot more. And
or maybe somebody in your family. I've seen this too. Is somebody in your family is that people pleasing person, and so you go, I'm not doing that. I'm never going to be like that, and so the pendulum swings way the other direction, and you go that direction and like almost an unhealthy way against that, right?
Yep. Avoidant. Yep. Very avoidant. And sometimes extremes of again turmoil. Like when we have turmoil, a lot of times it's because we're trying to do what we want when we want, what we want to do when we want to do it. And that's way I look at that is that's that can lead to death and disease when we're trying to do everything because, oh, I want to do it, I want it now, fast food society type of situation.
Yeah.
That's turmoil there too, because we're going against what is actually good for us, what is actually, going to benefit us, what's going to help us grow. We want comfort, we want, ease,
Mhm.
but thing is ease and comfort doesn't necessarily come from what we call our comfort zones.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Say that again. Comfort
ease
and ease. Go ahead.
doesn't exactly come from our comfort zones.
Okay. Sorry, I had
Yep.
to repeat that because it kind of made my head explode a little bit. Tell me what that means.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, for example, a lot of times we're used to life being a certain way, or living in a certain place. We've been there all our life. That's the way life is. That's a comfort zone. And to go outside that comfort zone is uncomfortable, and it's changed, and change is uncomfortable. And so, what we teach people is to regulate the nervous system. A lot of times that does require that step back from everything else. It really does. That slow down, get connected, and like really have that pause in life so you can actually fill yourself up to figure out, okay, what's next? And the reason why you got to have that step back is so you can actually see how, oh, this is all the ways I am going against myself. But if I choose to go with myself and what my intuition says, that's uncomfortable. That's scary. I don't want to do that because, what if that person, reacts this way, or what if this doesn't work out, or whatever. And it's like, well, you're uncomfortable. Like deep down, you're saying you're comfortable where you're at because, life is the way it is. You're used to it. You can be in hell and still be your comfort zone.
Right. Yeah.
And so when it comes to doing what is in our best interests, or highest good to do, a lot of times requires stress. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be triggering. And it's actually like realizing like I don't have to fall into the trap of, oh, I got to fight it. I got to run away from it. I got to appease it. Maybe I'm going to freeze because I don't know what to do. What's that next step I'm going to take? It's learning to, it's okay that it's stressful. That's normal. And that's part of regulating the nervous system, is actually being able to feel what you're feeling when you're feeling it. And a lot of times we don't, because we don't like what we're feeling. We don't like, the feeling of fear. We don't like the feeling of anger, resentment, hatred, whatever the case is. We don't want to feel any negative feelings. Like, I just want to avoid that. I want to get away from that. I don't want to have that.
Even just the unknown, oh my God, this is totally different than what anything I've ever felt. That freaks me out and I don't like it. I want to go back, even if it's something terrible, even if it's like you said, everybody's, if it just because it's the way it's been your whole life doesn't mean it's great. Like just because you're comfortable in it doesn't mean it's ideal. Right. So yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's really maybe avoiding the potential, or the you that's really in there, and it's about facing you and realizing, like, what, kind of look in the mirror and see what I actually want to do, what's actually me, and then pretty much use everything as the mirror. People, situations in life, it shows you where you're at, and that's something that I've learned in my journey. Like, my external experiences is a lot of times that mirror of what's going on in here. It's like when I'm feeling anxious, or feeling upset, or some person over here is irritating. I'm saying they're irritating me, and it's like I'm choosing to be that. I'm choosing to become that feeling or emotion when I'm not. I'm experiencing that emotion. Doesn't mean I need to actually identify with it, and I need to hold on to it, or try to, in their sense, run away from it. Actually trying to pull away and not feel what's going on in here is actually how I hold on to it.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to create that disease, because that's turmoil. I'm creating that turmoil in there from, oh, something's in my space. I don't like it.
Right.
Something's it's that. So it's like I've said before in previous shows, like pain, for example, is communication. Emotions are just another form of communication. But yet
Yeah.
we make it something. Oh, something's wrong. Something's bad. I need to get away. I need to fight it, or I need to try to appease it. Yeah.
Well, that actually reminds me. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm laughing at myself because you know, back in 2014, I had the amazing experience of having 2 brain surgeries within 24 hours of each other because of a bacterial infection they found in the cerebral spinal fluid in my body, and it resulted in, and after those 2 surgeries, I ended up having migraines, and those migraines turned into 24/7 nonstop migraine headaches, and that lasted for like a year. Those were 24-hour a day migraines, never stopped for a year, and we went to all kinds of places to remedy that, to get rid of it. I didn't want to take medication. That was where I drew the line. I didn't want to just be on medication the rest of my life. I wanted to do it naturally, but apparently I wasn't a very good listener to my body, because I have a feeling what you were just saying there is that may have helped if I had been aware of that. If I knew that was available, maybe I could have nipped those migraines in the bud much sooner if I had talked to Michelle. But you don't know what you don't know. So somebody even in that situation, right? Like migraines tell a story. They're trying to tell your body something, Yeah.
Yep. Well, migraines, I know very well. That was one of my chronic condition was migraines, and
yeah, not cool.
That was really keeping me from doing a lot of things that I love to do. Was those same migraines, because it was something I was experiencing on a weekly basis.
Totally.
And like the turmoil behind that was, again, going back to looking at sympathetic nervous system and powerlessness. I was making myself feel powerless in a situation. And
is what you're saying was causing the migraines, was your feeling of powerlessness?
But which the migraine was just the communication of that. Like it's kind of, again, when you're looking at a migraine or even a seizure, they're pretty related. The only thing about a seizure is you don't feel that happening, where the migraine you feel that happening, which is terrible. But it's trying to reset. That's all it's trying to do, is like your blood vessels are contracting. It's trying to send information to reset the brain after that experience of powerlessness. And I was looking back and like, there's a lot of times I made myself feel powerless, and I didn't speak my truth in the situation. I didn't, know that I was in power. I had a choice to do something there, and I just chose to, run away from it. And so that was, kind of a big discovery, is that, but also in the migraine is actually taking time to sit. Again, with pain, when you're in pain, you just tense up, like, all you do is you're focusing on that pain because it hurts so much, and you're tensed up because of that pain. And one of my breakthroughs was just pressing into the pain. And this is going to be for physical pain, emotional pain. It's pressing into it. Press into that pain. Allow yourself to feel it. That's part of that communicating with, like, actually observe it, feel it, connect with it. And when I was able to actually relax into the pain and let it do its thing, like I pictured it like a kind of, okay, my cells are going up. I can kind of feel that tension up through there. Just allow that to happen, and it's like it feels like I'm trying to hold it back because it hurts so dang much. And as soon as I relaxed into it, it all of a sudden, like flipping a switch almost, it started to it peaked initially because I allowed myself to feel it. When you actually allow yourself to feel pain, a lot of times you find it hurts a little more than you thought it did.
And
then as I felt it, all of a sudden just like it tipped over and started to flip off. I get all those endorphins building. I feel good all of a sudden. I'm like, dang, why'd I do that to begin with? And it's just like, I had to
I
remind
get it.
myself of that several times in my process. It's like, if I'm trying to resist it, avoid it, run away from it,
Yeah.
ease it, try to put those band-aids on it, I'm not doing it any good. I'm not allowing that process to take place
Right.
or that healing to take place. And so,
Well, yeah.
allowing myself
No,
to rest into it. Yeah.
I hear that, and I'm like, seriously, this was back in 2014. This was more than 10 years ago, and I'm like, you're saying things that are making me go back there, and like, holy smokes, I could have this could have been different. This should have been different, and this should have been different, and this should have been, and like looking back and going, man, I could have done that and that and that, because I could see that. I could see what you're talking about in that process, and I didn't allow it to process. I would just take another pain med, or I would just, and it would, and I interrupted it. And so that's why I have a feeling that's why it persisted for so long, because we tried everything else except what you just said. So, I lovely. This is awesome. That is so crazy. Anyway, that's okay. I'm not going to look back and go, this is what we should have done, because it doesn't matter.
Yep.
But in the future, wow. Well, I tell you what, we are at a good place for a break. I know, and there are a couple things that I want to ask you about, but we got to do this break, and then we'll come back, and then we'll dive back in. So guys, seriously, stick around. This is good stuff. And I know it's blowing your mind right now, because this is not typical stuff. So stick around, do not go anywhere, and we will be right back.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Adriana Morrison, host of the Health Revolution TV show. Join us Tuesdays and Thursdays live, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where our mission is simple: engaging conversations, elevating health and wellness, empowering transformation. Right here on the Achieve TV channel on E360 TV.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Bryce, for spending this time with us today and blowing minds all over the world. This is good stuff. After that first segment, by the way, everybody, if you didn't catch it, go back and watch, because it's got some good stuff in there. And no matter where you're watching, whether you are on Facebook or YouTube or even on E360, you can go to chronicillnesssolution.com and reach out there, or you can leave a comment on YouTube or Facebook, and we can. If this is rocking your whole belief system about anything, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not what I've heard, and you want to talk about it, drop a comment in there, and we'll get back to you, and we can have a conversation. So, one of the things you said in the first segment that kind of triggered something in my mind that I wanted to ask you about. So when there are things like the migraines, you talked about the migraines. So I had no choice in 2014, except to have those surgeries. If I had not had those surgeries, we wouldn't be having this conversation because I wouldn't be here. And so I had no choice. I had to have those 2 surgeries, and both of them were very necessary. And so that still doesn't negate the fact that my body was in turmoil because of those surgeries, because there was no choice in the matter, right? It was foisted upon me basically. And I'm glad that I'm still here, but those surgeries were no choice to me. Just done, so that, I mean, that I don't know why that just dawned on me with what you were talking about.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's interesting to bring that up, because there is those situations in life where, so you have no choice but to have those surgeries, and there's going to be plenty of other situations in life where we're faced with no other choice.
Yeah.
And it's recognizing that we can actually pause in those situations and, like, can I choose this for myself? Can I
get okay with it, basically?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
yeah.
And I do this in commitment, as a commitment to myself, because I know this is what's best for me right now. And that's
nice.
that's the whole, game changer there, is like changing it from I have no choice, but can I choose myself in this thing I don't have a choice in?
So you may not have a choice in what's happening to you, but you have a
Yeah.
choice in how you respond to it, basically,
Yep.
and how you live through it. It's kind of like I don't know, maybe I've said this before on a show with somebody from Chronic Illness Solutions. So forgive me if you've heard this. I'm sure you've heard this before, because I know I've talked about it. But that reminds me of kind of this, it's not real, but it's a story that I heard. And it's these 2 good old boys sitting on the porch, rocking in a rocking chair, drinking their iced tea. And they look over on one of these big porches, and they look over here, and there's their hound dog is sitting there, and their dog, and he's just howling away. He's howling and howling and howling. And the one guy looks at the other guy and goes, "What's wrong with your dog?" And he looks at him and says, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's just sitting on a nail." He says, "Why doesn't he get up and move?" He said, "Oh, it only hurts enough to howl. It's it doesn't hurt enough to actually get up and move, And I feel like there's so many people that are in that situation, right? That are hurting, and they're very vocal about it, but they don't want to actually move. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And that's the thing is, it's got to hurt enough. You got to be angry enough about the situation to want to change it.
Mhm.
And that's, I tell all people, like, at least get the point of where you're, I know you've had a lot of discussion on the map of consciousness in the past, but anger, you have to at least arrive at anger to actually be ready to do anything about it. You got to be angry enough, and it's got to hurt enough. You got to be like sometimes at that rock bottom in order to finally be ready to do anything. That's where I was when I started. I was running out of ideas. I went to different doctors and different tests, and nothing was working. I tried medication. I don't recommend it. I mean, the side effects of the medication, outweighed the, having that migraine. I just have the migraine. I'm still getting the effects of the migraine without feeling the pain, and I'm also having all these other issues going on at the same time. And I'm like, no. But I had to get to that point where I was angry enough. I was at rock bottom. The only place to go when you hit rock bottom is up. So
that kind of rocks the idea that anger is always bad. Like, you shouldn't ever don't be angry, And I mean, I know the Bible talks about don't sin in your anger, right? Like, anger is not necessarily the sin. It's what you do when you are angry that can result in something going bad. But but for those of you that aren't familiar with this, I mean, this is a very valuable tool. I mean, it's huge. You know, anger is way down there on the scale. But you're saying in this case, anger can be a good thing because it helps you realize that there needs to be a change, right?
Yep. Exactly. Yep. And speaking on anger, like I said, be angry but don't sin. So we can look at anger as something we can choose, and we can stay in it and suffer, or we can use it as a motivation. It can be very motivating when you're angry, and the hidden message in anger is it actually trying to point to love. It's actually trying to point you to, like, hey, this needs love. Otherwise, you're gonna be feeling anger. It's like a lot of people, look at the opposites of different feelings. Let's say anger or hate is opposite of love. It's like, no, the opposite of love is indifference or non-feeling. So if you're feeling something, that's good. It's actually a very good sign that you're feeling that, and that you need to feel that it's necessary. It's part of human experience. Actually, part of being healthy is actually being the healthy ways of feeling and learning how to regulate and to integrate and move forward in life. So
when you're numb or you're not feeling anything, then you got a problem.
Yep, that's a problem. That's a scary place to be. So
that is very scary place to be. That's where people make some very life-altering decisions that can end very poorly. So yeah. So before you get there, the important part is recognizing when you're at these different stages, because you don't want to get to that point. Call somebody, talk to somebody, scan the QR code and get in touch with Bryce or somebody else at Chronic Illness Solution to deal with some of this before you get to that point, because then it's much harder to bring you back from that than it is to deal with it when there's still raw emotion involved. Yeah. So, wow. Okay. Well, let's keep going. Yeah. What?
Yep. So, just recognize when you're at that point. If you're angry enough to want to do something about it, then it's time. I work with so many people, and they worry about, say, if they have depression or they have anxiety, for example. And a lot of times that can be very invisible. People are very good at hiding those things, and especially depression. They can act all cheery and joke a lot and everything. So, and you're not seeing that. And when they come and talk to me, and they're telling me, I got all these crazy thoughts going on, and they're telling me they're crazy thoughts, like, you're having human thoughts. You're having human feelings. You're having feelings of emotions. Like, that's normal. And it's like, it's getting people to understand, like, being human and having a mind. The mind thinks of crazy things sometimes. And it's like, and you're worried about it. That's actually kind of a good thing. It's a thing that you're having some feelings of concern there, because that means you're in a good place to actually do something. If you're not feeling anything, or you're numb about it, or you're like, I'm just going to go, in my life or in someone else's life, because just nothing matters anymore, then we're in a dangerous place. But if you're actively looking at that conviction of like, that's wrong, it's, I need to make some changes, that's a good place to be. And as a believer, like, people it come and, like, I should know that I am saved, and Jesus Christ has paid that price for me, but I still feel guilty. I still feel shame. I still feel all these feelings. And it's like, you're going to feel it more when you become more aware of those things.
Right. Well, or they say, oh man, I don't know if I did that. Am I still saved? I'm in trouble. I'm in a lot of trouble, man. Am I still saved? Does God still love me? Like, if you didn't care, you wouldn't be asking those questions.
Exactly.
So that you're asking those questions is actually a good, healthy sign that you're still interested. You
Still
know?
interested? Yeah. Yeah, you're in a good place. You're examining yourself, you're connecting, and that's a good place to be. So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. Well, so we got a couple minutes left before we got about 3-4 minutes before we go to our last break. So, yeah, what else do we want to do? We want to tie this up with here.
Yep. So what I want to tie up with is, where we're at in your life right now, and maybe struggling making choices. There's answers always within you. And the thing is our turmoils, we're always fighting against ourselves. We're fighting against the answer that's given us because it's uncomfortable. Like it may be uncomfortable to reach out for help even. We
Right.
don't want to ask for help. That feels uncomfortable. I don't want to put myself out there and ask for help. And it's like, well, that's coming up. Is that something you need to do? Like follow that intuition of like, I need some help. Or you're putting off some plans, or you're putting off that next step into, maybe you're starting a business, or you're making a move somewhere even. And speaking of interesting ways that shows up, just to give you kind of a picture, is there's so many times that I have resisted that next step in my life. If anyone is ever curious, look up German New Medicine.
Yes.
Great source of information there.
I have a love-hate relationship with German New Medicine.
It's very interesting because when I wanted to make a move for so long from where I live before to where I'm at now, and there are so many ways that I was holding myself back from that step, just how I was creating my experience of the previous place. And when I finally made that step, I had a bruise show up on my foot for like no apparent reason. I'm like, what is this? And when I looked it up, it's like, oh, it's because you're unsure of that next step in life. And I had that conflict going for so long. And then when I finally made that step, this bruise shows up. I'm like, okay. And that's the healing phase of it. I'm like, okay, like that's just letting me know, like, hey, you resisted the step for so long. I'm letting you know that, and like, okay. But it's your body, your soul, everything is always communicating. Like tune in, your spirit, it's communicating. And our turmoils, we just usually going against it. We're trying to make our own way. I want to do it my way. And a lot of times my way ain't working so good. So
well,
sometimes it's like being open to like, I'm open change. I don't know what it looks like, but get to that place where you can at least be open to like, okay, I don't know what this looks like, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Right. Well, and
that's where that upgrading starts happening in that nervous system, is being willing to take that step, even if it feels a little bit scary.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why the verse goes, a lamp to my feet and a light to my path, not a 5,000 lumen flashlight to my feet and a spotlight for the next 10 miles to my path. Because God knows full well that we couldn't handle that. And if we did that, if he allowed us to see that much, then why would we need to rely on him every day? Why would we need to keep, so it's, you got a good point there.
If we saw the whole path, we'd probably fight against that anyway. We want to change it. Like, oh, I don't like how that looks, so let's change it over here. We'll try to change it over there.
We'd screw it up either way. Yeah,
seriously.
So screw up one step instead of a 5 mile. Just one step is easier.
You're good. Yeah,
totally. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I there's one thing that I want to bring up, but I'm going to do it on the other side of the break here. We're going to go to a break, one more break, and then we'll come back for the last segment of the show and Stick around though, everybody. This is always good. This is such good information, and I hope you're learning something. And I hope that wherever you're watching is you're able to comment or ask questions or scan that QR code so you can get on the calendar with somebody from Chronic Illness Solution to talk through some of this, because it's a big deal. So, all right, everybody, stick around. We'll see you in just a couple minutes. As soon as I hit the right button. There we go.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hey friends, this is Ben Hummel. I'm the host of the Genius Way Show, where you'll learn to access your inner gifts, talents, and callings, and how to express them out in the world. Join me here each Sunday at noon Pacific time on the Achieve TV network, right here on E360 TV.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And I think we've got about 10 minutes left here. And the one thing that I wanted to ask you about from the last segment is that was a lot of heavy stuff, man. I like you were kind of blowing my mind a little bit, because it's been a minute since I was working through all this with Michal Michelle, and I definitely do, the follow up, and I'm doing the things that I need to do to stay regulated. And of course, I'm not perfect, because nobody is. But one of the things that still blows my mind every time I hear somebody say it is the healing is when the symptom shows, like when the, whoops, I hit the wrong, there we go. That one's better. Hit the wrong one. When the symptom shows up, like when the rash shows up, or when the physical, manifestation of something shows up, that's the healing part. That's when your body is healing. And so you don't want to interrupt that. Don't take a pill. Don't, go to the doctor and get an antibiotic or a cream or something. Like, let it ride it out. Right. That's the hardest part though, sometimes. Mm-hmm. Right. Realizing that that's what's happening actually, and then actually letting it ride out. That's like, that's a realization I have all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be times where, like, you don't make it wrong for having to take something for it, because a lot of times the circumstance, like, you're in the middle of something, like, I need to take a break from this until I can sit with it. And that's completely fine. But it's like, allow yourself space, allow yourself time to actually sit, slow down, and just be with it. And that's that's a hard thing for us to do, like being with pain, being with emotions we don't like. It doesn't feel good, but it's something that's necessary for regulation. It's something necessary for healing. Just allow yourself to be with it, and that's part of healing. And a lot of times it also helps us connect to what is that connection to it. Like I tell people, like a lot of times just by sitting with it, even if it's some pain in your body, you sit with that pain, all of a sudden you have that emotion come up, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's what that was. It's also you make that connection. It's like that's what that was, and that's what's being released right now. And pain is again a symptom. It's just that communication a lot of time that it is healing. It has been resolved, and sometimes it's just seeing that for yourself. So it's like we talked about before. Common cold, flu, those are healing symptoms. Rash, that's a healing symptom. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, and part of this is, I mean, I'm bringing this up again because you can see the different things on here, and a lot of people most people are living in, grief, fear, apathy. Once you get into like you said, anger is where you kind of kick it into gear and like, okay, we got to do something here, and that kind of propels you forward. And then when you start moving up this scale here, that's the cool stuff. But you got to let anger kind of kick you in the butt and actually sit in there with it. That's the hard part.
Yeah,
that's the part nobody likes.
No, having anger is very uncomfortable. You don't want to have anger, and you don't want to experience whatever you're experiencing. But a lot of times, it's like that's where you can really start to learn and get clear on what do I actually want to do. Do I, am I okay with just being like this, or am I willing to, go into something I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to trust that, that there's hope, and I can trust that there can be healing. Am I willing to have that step up to that courage of trying something new?
Exactly. That courage is not that far away from the anger, right? Yep. It's like you're angry, you're like, oh, I got to do something, and then it's not that much of a reach to go to courage, and that's what helps you actually do it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're not that, if you're in that now, if you're in that situation where you're like, why am I feeling this, and why, that's okay, because that is what could be what you need to propel you to the healing, right? The healing. Yep. So, yeah.
Oh,
yes. Don't have a clue what we're talking about because this is your first episode watching with Chronic Illness Solution. That's why the QR code's there. So please scan the QR code. And I know we haven't talked about this much during the show, but that QR code will lead to your website, to chronicillnesssolution.com. And there is a very easy place to schedule a time with Bryce or somebody with Chronic Illness Solution to help you down this road. How do they get there?
Yep. So once you scan that QR code, you can see some information about us, what we do. You can schedule that free consult on there. I'm usually going to be Madeline. I think Chris is going to be doing some of those now, maybe.
Nice.
So get with them, and we'll see where you're at. See if you're ready to actually take this on. If you're actually ready to heal, ready to become healthy. That's something. You gotta be ready. So
it's okay if you're not. It's okay if you're not.
We got stuff. We got other things going on. We can. Yeah. And we meet you where you're at. And that's the awesome thing is we have people. We have connections, and we want to get you that right connection wherever you're at. If you're just you're curious about it, you want to start that journey, we have something for you.
And that was me, man. I had to talk to Alicia for a few months before I could come back and then talk to Michal, or I talked to Michelle first, and then she's like, we gotta, not quite ready, go talk to Alicia. And then I came back, and then Michelle was like, oh, okay, now we can go. So it's everybody's different, man. If you're not ready and you gotta kind of work with somebody else first to get you ready, that's okay. Some people are in that spot. So yeah.
Oh,
the
yes.
important part is that you do it.
Yep. Yeah, start somewhere. And that's meaning I had that myself. I had to start in, more of a functional health program and focus on nutrition and kind of getting things managed a little bit before I was realizing like, oh, there's deeper stuff to this. And that's where I started, and I took on the complete health program from that point. Once I started making the connection, like it's not all this external stuff that's causing my problem. It's the internal stuff that I have not dealt with yet.
That's almost always the case, or should we say always? I hate to say I hesitate to say, always and never are really two things you should always remember never to say. But sometimes it applies. So yeah,
for sure.
Crazy. Okay, well, we got about a minute left. Yeah, how do you want to wrap us up today?
Well, be open to stepping into courage, taking that next step for yourself, whatever that is. I mean, wherever you're at, be open to doing what you need to, even if you don't know what that looks like. Like you might have your turmoil about changes, and it's recognizing that if we're avoiding that conflict outside of us, or maybe I even look at symptoms as external conflict. It can be. It's like it's something that's happening. You feel like you're happening to me. And it's like, can I go from, being the victim in life to taking my power back and creating my life? It's recognizing we create our experience of life. Like, life is life. Life happens. But the cool part is we have the power to create our experience of it. We have the power to choose how we show up for ourselves in it. Like, we're going to show up and, actually take life by the reins and create it for ourselves, or are we going to be the victim and let ourselves be beat up?
Right.
We pretty much beat ourselves up, but
for sure.
Are we going to beat ourselves up over it, or are we actually going to step into and do what we need to do?
Is it happening to me, or is it happening for me? Right?
Exactly. Is it happening to me or happening for me? And that's something I can look back and like everything I went through was happening for me. Even if I couldn't see it then, like I look back like, oh my, all those poor choices, I could regret that. Years in pain, I could resent that. And, hurt relationships, stuff like that, I could have resentment there too. But it's like, no, that got me to where I'm at today. It helped me grow because I allowed it to. And that's the thing is, I didn't let that destroy me. I let that actually build me. And that's where, God makes things work for our good. It's like he's not causing the evil to happen to us, but he's making a way for us to overcome and heal. Like in that turmoil, in that trauma, in the harshness of life, he's creating a way that we can become our best selves.
Love it.
And there's love in all of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. And that's why we want people to contact Chronic Illness Solution, because it's there for you too. So so Bryce, thank you for being here, man. This is as always an amazing conversation. I can say always on that one. I know that's always a great conversation and always mind-blowing. Thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who are watching, and I want you to let you know that our next show with Chronic Illness Solution will be September 16th. Our next show for InvisibleCondition, the next show in general, is going to be September 5th, Friday, September 5th. So looking forward to seeing you there, and have an amazing day, and we'll see you soon.